invite our director, Dr. Bigyan Verma, to the dais, I would take a moment to introduce her. Dr. Bigyan Verma was a faculty of finance at XLRI, Jamshedpur for a decade and thereafter worked for J.M. Morgan Stanley as an investment banker. He was an adjunct professor at Carleton University, Canada, and a visiting faculty at IIM Kozhikode for 11 years. He worked closely with SEBI and National Stock Exchange. Dr. Verma holds a PhD in finance, MBA with specialization in strategy and finance, Masters in Business Economics from Delhi University, and is a gold medalist in Master of Commerce. He has authored 2 books, one on international finance and recently published another one titled Managing Work in Digital Economy in the year 2022. Dr. Bigyan Verma is the EC member of Bombay Management Association National HRD Network, Mumbai chapter, and Indo-American Society, Mumbai. Dr. Verma joined IMT Nagpur as director in July 2022. I now invite Dr. Bigyan Verma, director of IMT Nagpur, to kindly
our orientation program for the PGDM batch of 2023-2025. On behalf of the management, faculty, staff and students, we are delighted to welcome students of PGDM programs in our lush green campus at Nagpur. I take this opportunity to thank Mr. V.K. Bansal, Chairman, Morgan Stanley Investment Banking, Shri Rajneesh Jain, CFO, Reliance Jio, Shri Alok Shioprakar, Head HR, HDFC AMC, and Shri Kuntal Joysar, the first vegan mountaineer, where we knew the kind of inputs needed and the kind of outputs we expected. So everything was very well known. And we got trained for the techniques, living in that kind of world as such. Inputs and outputs, as you all know, were very well known in those days. What happened over a period of time in the past 1 decade, and certainly in the past few years, the same situation does not repeat itself. Even the problems that we are trying to solve are probably very, very unique and extremely ambiguous. So therefore a word called VUCA, the volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous, has become extremely popular these days. Complexities have become enormous in today's world. We experience the same thing, we all, the entire disruptions have become synonymous with the normal world in today, and I'm sure if some of you have read the book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, where he talks about black swan. Now we've all seen white swan, we've all seen a black swan. Now when something like black swan flies, you start wondering. Black swans actually refers to in that book as an unpredictable major events like Corona. No one knew that after 100 years, Spanish flu was infected the whole world in 1918. Something like Corona will create a havoc in this world. So what I'm just trying to say that it is, in fact, dangerous just to fit in today's world. We've got to be much more than that. After completing this program, we'll probably take up a job. And you know what Sandeep Mirchandani, the Naukri.com founder, said once, is that students and people in the age group of 20 to 30 are snacking all the time. They're snacking all the time because they're never satisfied. He says, these 2-3 few years of students have become so, agile and they're so keen to take up new responsibilities. And these are the guys who really, really will do well in the life. So keep upgrading yourself. So that's the reason I said, it's not adequate. One qualification and you think that you are right? No ways. World would have changed by the time you graduate from this place. So there are certain things which you have to keep on upgrading, reskilling yourself all the time as such. And that's exactly what we do at IMT Nagpur. We're not going to leave you with just traditional theories. We, our faculty, so super faculty will make sure that you're fit for the changing world, We never think that what we teach you is enough for you. We teach beyond that so that you will become relevant for the world which you will step into. The second thing I said, I would say, is leadership. You know what? All studies in the recent times have shown that probably all of you will live for more than 100 years. That's how the things have changed. Another 10 years' time, you know, so much of medical advancement will happen that average life of a human being is going to be 100 years. Which means that your working life is not going to be 30, 40 years, it's going to be 60, 70 years. For the next 60, 70 years, you're going to work. You're going to remain productive. What does it mean? What is that skill which will keep you relevant in the next 60, 70 years? Is it technical skill, the Python, the SQL, and so on and so forth? No. All these skills are going to be irrelevant in the next 1 or 2 years, 2, 3 years. Anything, you know, the skill life today is just about a year and a half. Any skill which you... So what is that skill which will keep you relevant? You know, most of the time we'll probably talk about those skills, but there are some skills, life-changing skills, which will be, you know, which will be extremely relevant. So predicting skills which will be relevant in the future is almost impossible to talk about today. So how do we prepare yourself so that we remain relevant in the changing world as such? And that's where comes the leadership skill. If you have the right kind of leadership skills, and truly, a leader is the one who's always curious to learn new things, who's always taking the team ahead, who's always innovative, who's also thinking differently. If you have these skills, believe me, you will remain relevant for the next 60, 70 years. So agility, you know, adaptability to things like digital marketing and all is extremely important. Remember, one thing is that we are all human beings, we're not chimpanzees. You know, and we've changed. We've changed in more times sometimes. It's only because we learned how to survive in the changing times, and things have become far more difficult. The last thing, the third thing which I want to talk about is entrepreneurship. Peter F. Drucker is my favorite management guru, and I believe that he's the greatest management thinker the world has ever seen. He says, the world has moved from the protective world to more entrepreneurial society. Now, it doesn't really mean that each one of you should become an entrepreneur. No. What he says is that you should have the entrepreneurial skills. An entrepreneur is the one, you know, who becomes an entrepreneur. When your passion exceeds your resources, you become an entrepreneur. Now, entrepreneurial skills means like you should always be thinking like an entrepreneur. You should not be thinking that I'm going to work in the office from 10 to 6 and that's it. No. If you have that kind of mindset, it will be impossible to survive. He says, you know, gone are those days when you lived, or people like us, the baby boomers, you know, we lived in golden cages. That doesn't really exist anymore at all. Change is upon us and it's accelerating fast. So I would like to quote Peter Drucker once again, that if you cannot manage change, you must go ahead of it. First in your mind, and then your practice, and then your lives. That's very strongly important. I don't mind quoting Jack Welch also, the CEO of GE. He said, when the rate of change outside exceeds the rate of change inside, the end is in sight. Don't ever forget it. If the world is changing faster than you are changing, you cannot survive. So before I conclude, I'd like to quote a psychologist, a Harvard psychologist, and a philosopher, William James. He said, all of us live once or many times. Now, living ones are the ones who are just not straying in their path. They don't want to change. They just not change. So they live only once. But if you want to live many a times in your life, remember to change every now and then. Learn new things. And that's exactly what you would like to. I'd like to each one of you to see. You know, learn, make it as a habit, and I'm sure you all will do very well in the life. So before I conclude, I'd like to, along with my dean, Dr. Janaki Ramadu, Program Chairperson Dr. Shyam, faculty, staff, colleagues, welcome you once again to this wonderful, great institution, and wish you all the best in the days to come. Thank you so much.